Hey, sister friend, happy to have you back on the podcast today. I'm talking with you about the 10 phases of eating disorder recovery. This comes from Miss Carolyn Costin herself, and I'm going to be sharing just the phases that you go through when you are on the way through this journey, because there are many different places that you're going to stop along the way to becoming truly free from your eating disorder. Grab a notebook and a pen. You're going to want to do that for this one. Let's go. Hey girl, welcome to the Her Best Self podcast. I'm Lindsay Nickel, former competitive figure skater and perfectionist, turned God-led imperfect boy mom and digital CEO. If you find yourself constantly thinking about food and wondering if you'll wake up one day free from the obsessive thoughts and behaviors controlling your life, then I've created this podcast for you, because I know exactly what it's like to be a downright hot mess trapped in the destructive cycle of disordered eating. I finally found freedom, and you can too, girlfriend. So if you're ready to heal your relationship with food and body and break the chains of control and show up in your best health, then grab your favorite Tarjay journal and let's get to it, so you can start living your best life as your best self. Hey girl, I am loving the summer vibes. I have the kids still in school. This is the last week of school, actually. Their last day is tomorrow, and I don't know. I am ready to spend some quality time with the fam, but at the same time, it is so nice to enjoy time podcasting with you and just having the ability to come on here anytime in my schedule. I like to plan it out, but I am looking forward to summer. At the same time, summer also puts in a lot of downtime. And downtime for us who are very structured, like myself and like you too, can be really hard. It can be a challenge in coming up with a new routine and allowing yourself a little bit more wiggle room in your routine. And so I want to do an episode on that topic, but for today, I had planned to talk to you about the 10 phases of eating disorder recovery, because these phases are so important in recognizing where you are on this path and on this journey. The secret to recovery, it isn't forgetting the pain existed. It isn't diminishing the damage that has occurred. It's allowed to be there. It's allowed to be what it is and what it was. But recovering is when that pain and when that damage, it no longer controls and defines every ounce of who you are. And you can stand strong and you can stand tall in your truth. I want to share with you the 10 phases of eating disorder recovery. And I actually am pulling a lot of this content from Carolyn Costin and Gwen Gabb, who write about the 10 different phases of recovery. But it goes perfectly well with discovering where you are at along this path and along this journey. And I've actually morphed a couple of different add-ons to what they share are the 10 different phases, because I feel like I like to pull in a spiritual aspect. I like to pull in a God-given aspect to everything that I touch. So I want to pull the soul in here as well. So you'll hear me reference a couple things, but all in all, these are the 10 different phases that you're going to go through when you experience recovery. If you haven't listened to episode 36 of the Her Best Self podcast, I talk about the different stages of change and the change model. And this is where you have permission to go from being super confused about where you are along your path to completely transformed. I encourage you to go back to that one as well and listen. So here we go. Discovering who you are is so flipping important. But learning who you aren't is even more imperative. And recovery, sis, it takes time. The road, it's gonna have its twists, it's gonna have its turns, it's gonna have its detours, stoplights along the way. It just is. That's part of it. I wish it could go a lot smoother, but when you're healing, you have to heal through it. You have to heal forward. And so today I want you to think about where you are along your path to freedom. I want you to think about the place that you identify with the most as I talk through the 10 different phases. So let's dive in. Number 1, I don't think I have a problem. I don't think I have a problem. This is when you start saying things like, this is just who I am. I'm just a healthy person. I just don't eat carbs. There's people that are smaller than me. It's not like I don't eat anything. This is the denial aspect of the disorder. And I actually talked about denial in a recent episode on the show. So you'll want to go back to last week's episodes because I talk about the power of denial and getting stuck there. And in the first couple phases of recovery, a lot of denial happens. And so the first one is, I don't think I have a problem. I stayed in this phase for a really long time. People around me wanted to get me help and I thought they were crazy. That's just the real truth. The second phase is I might have a problem, but it's really not that bad. This is the I'm fine phase, the I'm not sick enough phase. The I've been to the doctor and they haven't said anything, so I must be fine. I only purge, I only restrict, I only overexercise sometimes, and maybe just a little bit more than anyone else around me, so it can't be that big of a deal. Again, this is still in the phase of denial, but you are recognizing that you might have a problem, so there's some awareness there. Phase 3 is I have a problem, but I simply don't care. And I actually was in this phase for a really long time myself personally. When you're feeling like you need to maintain your weight, you need to lose weight, this is just what you do. That requires maintenance, and that requires motivation, and that requires determination. And you don't mind having to overexercise multiple times a day. It's just part of your routine, so you're fine. You also point out other people and you're highly comparative to other people where it's like, I know others that are doing the same things or that are on this wellness streak. And so I have a problem. I get it. I'm kind of obsessed with exercise. I kind of obsessed with what I allow into my body, but I really don't care. It's my body. Okay. And that's still in this phase of denial. We haven't yet hit the true awareness phase at all. And so we aren't even anywhere close to acceptance. Now, number 4 is a big transition because during the process of I have a problem, but I really don't care, something happens where you realize you have to care. And for some of us, that's a medical concern. For others of us, it's people around us are fed up with it. Your why is becoming more important to you than the pain of staying stuck. So phase 4 is I want to change, but I don't know how to do that. And I'm terrified. I'm scared. This phase is where I see majority of my clients come into my atmosphere. And if you're here right now, this is an amazing phase to be in to get one-on-one personalized coaching, whether that's me or with one of the coaches on the team, because I can meet you where you are right here in this phase. I get you're scared. I get you're terrified. I get you want to change. I get you don't want to deal with this anymore in your life, and it's become such a massive problem that you will do anything to get yourself out of it. This is a big phase. This is the phase of I want to be normal, but I'm scared to gain weight. I'm scared to get fat. I want to be better. I want to eat better, but I'm not even sure what that means for me. And so this is where I can help come alongside you, hold your hand, and get you to the how, right? So how to get better, how to continue moving forward. And we can work together doing some actions to partner in getting you to freedom. So number 5 is I tried to change, but I couldn't. It just didn't work for me. I've seen therapists, I've seen doctors, I've worked with other professionals, I've even worked with other coaches, but I just always end up here. I also see a lot of clients come into my space in phase 5 because this is where maybe you've made a promise to yourself multiple times to change, but you just feel like you failed or it's taken too long for you. Maybe you feel like you just don't even know if it's possible because you've been in this cycle for decades. I've been this way forever. This is just part of me. Like all of those lies, those faulty beliefs that have been ingrained in your mind as truths, and they're just not. This is a really important phase as well, because this is where you sink or you swim, if I'm being honest. I will have people that come to me and they say, Lindsay, like I've tried to do everything, but I just couldn't. And I said, but have you tried to do everything? Because we're still here struggling. If you know that you can even see freedom happen for somebody else, then it's available to you. We live in this scarcity place when we're in the disorder, thinking that other people are magical unicorns and we're not going to be able to have that same type of transformation. But the truth is this is tools. This is learning. This is redefining who you are, and you can do it. People that have gone before you can just show you how, but it's truly possible. You were not always this way. And so this phase can be extremely important because If you sit in the depressed, negative doldrums, and I'm not trying to minimize it, but it is what it is, then you're going to keep believing those depressing, negative thoughts and those faulty lies. This can also be a push. Just because I haven't yet arrived, just because I haven't yet learned, I refuse to give up on myself. Now is the time better than ever. I've done this multiple times and it didn't work out. So this is the time for me. And I actually can see this work as a superpower for many women that come into my space because they're done. They are so done playing small. They're ready to up and get to the next level. And that's what it requires. Phase 6 is I can stop some behaviors, but not all behaviors. So this is where maybe you can stop looking at labels or you can stop counting calories. You're in and out of weighing yourself. Maybe you've stopped doing that, but you still restrict your food. Maybe your nutrition is better. Maybe you're trying a little bit more, but you still struggle with compensating with exercise if you allow yourself to eat more frequently. Whatever those things are, this is all part of the I can stop some, but not all phase. In phase 7, this is where you can stop behaviors, but the thoughts might still be there. So I think constantly about food, what I will have to eat next, even though I'm doing the work, I'm eating when I'm not hungry, I'm trying to do the next right thing. My mind wants to lose weight still or not to gain weight, and I realize that, but my heart knows that this is just an idol. This is just part of my past that I'm still trying to shed and let go of. And this one is extremely important. This is where actions and exposures and putting yourself in a place where you've got a helping hand, but also, and where you have support, but also where you can really get real with where you're at. Like, my mind's allowed to want something and I'm allowed to feel something, but that doesn't make it a fact. I'm allowed to want to not gain weight. Why? Well, because I've been coaching myself in my mind for years that I don't want to get fat, or that's the worst possible thing that I could be. When reality is, I can still honor my body, I can still nourish my body, and I can change. Sis, you repeat what you don't repair. And so allowing yourself to think about right now where you are along these phases as I talk through them is super important. Phase 8, I'm often free from behaviors and thoughts, not all the time, and sometimes I feel like something is missing. So for this one, I've tweaked it just a little bit. I talked about that at the beginning of the show. This one is really important to me personally because I spent a lot of time where I was free from restriction. I was free from counting calories. I was free from even all of the thoughts, but not all the time. And I constantly felt like I was missing an ingredient. And I couldn't put my finger on it. Like, I was doing the work, but I felt still like I was missing an ingredient. You might feel that way right now too. You feel from time to time that you're fine, and then specific events happen in your life and you use those coping mechanisms that you've turned to in the past, maybe under stress, or there are certain seasons of life, like bathing season that's upcoming, right? Where you revert back to old patterns. I was stuck in this place for a while as well. And for me, it was really the surrender of self to God, to something higher than me. And so that's where I like to kind of bring the soul into recovery, because yes, your behaviors need to change in order to change, right? And your thoughts need to change in order to change your behaviors. But there is an ingredient here that I feel like many folks miss if they're not careful from a holistic lens. Because there's going to be days, sis, where your promise to yourself, your commitment to yourself is just not enough. There's going to be days where the commitment to your family to get better for them, for your kids, for your husband, for your spouse, like, it's just not enough. There's going to be days where you need a higher motivator. And for me, that was surrendering all of it to God. So think about that higher place, that larger than you place for you, higher than you. Your creator, right? There's a purpose for your pain here. And it's not to eliminate carbs, and it's not to restrict your food, and it's not to count your calories or be changed to the scale. It's this missing component of maybe my thoughts are better and maybe my nutrition is better, even though I'm not fully 100% all in, yet I'm missing a spiritual connection. I'm missing that there's something higher than me that cares way more about me than I do. I'm missing my understanding of worthiness. Because, friend, you don't have to earn your worth. You're worthy because you're here. You don't have to earn it. And so really diving in to what that looks like is part of this phase, in my opinion. Phase number 9, I'm free from behaviors and thoughts, and I have surrendered control. I added the surrendered control to this one as well from Carolyn Costin's version, because this is that phase where you feel mostly okay in your skin. Like you've acknowledged that you've had to nourish your body and you wanted to get better and feel better. And you can have meals, you can have snacks without it making you feel bad, without you feeling ashamed or wrong. And for the most part, you have a healthy relationship with exercise and you've surrendered that over to God. You've surrendered your food and your body over to God because you know that this is a vessel. This is the vessel that you were put in. You have so much left to do. So that energy that you've been spending on something like your body image or your daily calorie content is not worth the headspace. And maybe you don't even think about some of the prior behaviors you've had. I have clients that have worked with me, and I actually heard from one yesterday. Her and I were talking through where she's at in her journey, and I asked her to rate herself on the scale. And she's like, Lindsay, I think I'm a 9. I think I'm almost there. I'm super excited because I remember back when I would go through spurts of binging and spurts of restricting, and of course over exercise was massive for her. And she's like, I don't even think about some of those things anymore. I don't even acknowledge those things. I just get up, I have my breakfast. It's not a thought in my mind not to have it, and I keep moving forward. And this is the phase where you're no longer participating in some of those unhealthy coping mechanisms anymore. And you're honestly no longer even thinking about them anymore. And I love this phase. So last and not least is 10, and this is the I am recovered phase of recovery. So this is where we consider you being in this phase for at least 6+ months, for a significant amount of time, I would say. And so you no longer have thoughts, you no longer have feelings, you don't have behaviors that are related to the eating disorder anymore. You've pretty much shed that part of you, and you realize it's separate, apart from who you are and your true self. You accept your body naturally. You appreciate for what it does. You might have thoughts that come into your mind like, I should totally not wear that shirt because it makes me look boxy, or I'm going to have to go get a new pair of shorts this summer. And so that kind of is bringing a bad stink up in my mind. I'm accepting my body. I'm happy with my body. I'm good with my body's natural state. And I appreciate all that it does for me. And I'm super proud of all I've gone through. And you've grown. You've evolved. This old BFF that's been sitting on your shoulder is just a thing of the past. In fact, when you think about the past, you are so happy that you're no longer living there. And you are so grateful. And you literally would go share all that you've been through with the world so that you could help somebody else go through this process. What I want to talk about here is that these different phases of recovery are all about progression over perfection. We can get trapped in wanting recovery to go perfectly, that we stay in one of these phases too long because we're not sure that we've mastered it yet. Sis, every single day is an opportunity to grow and move forward in your journey and continue to move through. So I want you to think about how this is progress for you, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Now, think about where you are. Think about where you are along this path. Think about the different phases I talked about today. What number or a couple of numbers would you give yourself? And ask yourself, is it time to stand in my truth even more and acknowledge that this is where I am and I'm not done? I have so much more to accomplish. Sis, you have so much more to give. You can do this. And when you acknowledge where you are, you allow yourself to go out and do something about it. And so I don't want you to repeat what you don't repair. I don't want you to stay lost in these numbers. I don't want you to continue measuring yourself against numbers and metrics because you deserve more. I hope this message today has given you some thought around where you are along your path. And I hope that you will take some time to reflect on it If you're not a friend of ours in our private community, come on out and hang out with us, herbestselfsociety.com. And if you're interested in the coaching relationship, I'd love to partner with you. I'd love to meet you and just hear your story, your challenges, and how we can work together. You can learn more at herbestself.co. Submit a client application and I will get back to you. Sis, you deserve freedom, and you most certainly can get there. I'll talk to you next week. Bye for now. Oh, friend, thank you so much for letting me share what was on my heart today. My hope for this podcast is to help more women find freedom from food and body. If this has empowered or blessed you, let me know. I'd be honored for your rating and review of my show, and I'd love to connect with you in my private Facebook community. You really can move from perfection to purpose. Let's break the chains together. I'll help navigate the way. Until next time, bye for now, girl.